I hear Ken, but he can't hear me. This is the VP.
No, I'm not.
Ken, how are you?
Not hearing a thing. Hello, Mr. Vice President. I can't hear you right now.
I hear you loud and clear.
I'm hearing ABC programming right now. Okay. I can't hear him, Mike. Hello, Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry to keep you waiting.
I can. No. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you hear me
Mike,
now?
I'm still not hearing anything.
I'll count to 10. 1, 2, 3.
Hello, Mr. Vice President. I can hear you now.
Loud and clear, Ken.
Terrific. How are you today, sir?
I can not only hear you, but I can hear me in my ear.
I can hear me loud and clear and you loud and clear, so I guess yeah, we're fine.
Yeah.
Are you ready, Mr. Vice President?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, Mike, are we rolling a tape? All right. In 3, 2, 1. Mr. Vice President, thank you very much for joining us today. We really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. The administration today revised its economic forecast for 1988 downward. This has to be seen as a negative sign. Should the average American be worried about the economy right now?
I don't think so. I think what we might see is a little more moderate growth than we've had in the past. But the recovery seems to still be going, and I'm not worried about it.
The Super Tuesday primary is coming up in March, and of course North Carolina is a state involved in that primary. How much attention and time will you be focusing on our state?
I'm going to be focusing a lot on that whole conglomeration of southern states. March 8th is important. Right now we feel very strong in the South, but obviously it's front-loaded, so all candidates will be spending a lot of time in Iowa and New Hampshire, but we are not going to neglect North Carolina, South Carolina, and then on across to my state of Texas. No candidate can design a strategy to win this nomination that makes sense unless he really concentrates on doing well in the South.
And Mr. Vice President, as you're aware, many of the polls show it's a Bush-Dole race right now, and Elizabeth Dole is a North Carolina native. Do you see the state as being an uphill battle to win?
No, but I see it as a real battle to win, and I have great respect for Elizabeth. She was in the cabinet here, but wait till we unleash my wife. She's pretty tough, too.
Of course, the Congressional Club is a very conservative group based here in North Carolina. Do you have that group support right now, and if you don't, do you want it?
I think they're supporting Jack Kemp right now, and I'm like Norris Cotton. Do you remember the senator from New Hampshire? He said, I stayed up all night thinking if I could think of somebody that I didn't want to vote for me. And I want everybody to be for me, but I think that organization is for Kemp at this point, but we'll be working hard to get as many people for me as possible in North Carolina.
One of the big questions I'm sure you're facing on the campaign trail this year is about the Iran-Contra scandal, and a lot of people wondering where you stood during the whole situation when the decisions were being made in the White House and I guess even in the basement of the White House. Where do you stand on the Iran-Contra scandal?
Stand in support of the president. The reports address themselves to that, but I stand in support of the president. You know, you got to go back into time, and the concern that he and I felt about those hostages, and still feel, the thought that Buckley, who later his death was confirmed, was being tortured at the time, made us take a risk to try to free hostages. And we've always said, and I wrote the report that confirms that arms for hostages is wrong. But back at the time this thing was devised, as the report firmly points out, the concept was that it wasn't arms for hostages, and the concept was we better try to get these hostages out. So yeah, mistakes were made, and the country's moved on past that, but I've stood with the president, and maybe I'll take some shots for that, but I feel very good about it.
Of course, Washington still has to be buzzing, Mr. Vice President, from the announcement last week by Gary Hart that he's re-entering the race. I know it's kind of a touchy subject to touch on right now, but how do you feel about that?
No, it's not touchy for me, but my view is I'm on the Republican side, and we got enough problems. I got enough problems winning this nomination, and winning it in a way by fighting a clean battle, getting my ideas out on education and supporting this INF treaty and things of that nature without trying to get into the Democratic side. And I'll tell you, I can't honestly give you what I think it means because I don't know. It's new, it's different, and it's their problem.
And do you see Gary Hart as being a force? I mean, we heard last week from some Republicans saying it was an early Christmas present to the Republican Party that him re-entering the race.
Well, I'm inclined to discount that. I have heard that, and I understand where people are coming from because it's thrown the Democratic side into some disarray. But no, I don't see that yet. And again, I should concentrate on getting my message out, of doing something about this deficit and getting education so everybody will have a good start in this country. And again, peace. So that's my message. And the politics intrigue me, but I'd make a big mistake if I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what the Democrats were going to do.
Vice President Bush, thank you very much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you in North Carolina soon.
Well, Merry Christmas to you, and thanks.
Thank you, sir.